I messed up big time.
Right, we rolling? Hello? Yeah, we're rolling.
There is a town in Bolivia called Villa Mar, seemingly in the middle of nowhere. Now, outside of that town is a hill. It's a sizable hill, but when you're already above 4,000 meters, it feels like Everest. You see, back in May, I was there in Bolivia, having a whale of a time, enjoying a bit of adventure, some beautiful landscape photography, and creating a ton of content. Now, on that trip, I shot a really cool video. It was the full package. It was fun, it was a bit adventurous, it was informative, and it had a ton of great photography. But sadly, that video never got released. In fact, it never even got edited, because I lost over 3/4 of the footage. Now, to understand how we lost that footage, you have to understand how I shoot video, and on bigger trips like that, I'll have multiple cameras, main cameras, B cameras, C cameras, flying cameras, the full works. And it can get confusing sometimes with memory cards, and well, there are opportunities for accidents to happen. You can see how difficult it can become, and add to that high altitude, which just seems to make everything really fuzzy. And yeah, well, that's where we went wrong. You see, the missing or lost footage happened because a memory card, this one here, was full halfway through the video shoot. So I switched memory cards to this one here. And that is where we went wrong, because this memory card got misplaced and never to be seen again until now. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a fantastic day. There I was, organizing my office, formatting memory cards, charging batteries, generally having a bit of a tidy up, even though it doesn't really look like it behind me. And I came across this micro SD card, and I thought to myself, let's just double check it before we format it. I hate formatting cards because you never know what you're permanently going to delete. So I checked the SD card, and there it was, the footage that has been missing for months. So now I have for you a video that I am very excited to release. It was a dark morning, well before sunrise. The night was inky black. And before setting off on this hike up this huge hill at over 4,000 meters, we knew it was not going to be easy. I'd not had much sleep, there was no oxygen, and I'd made that fateful mistake that I guarantee every single one of you has made, and that is to put too many layers on when starting a hike.
Oh, good morning, everybody. It's currently 5:30 a.m. and we're about to hike up a sizable hill that's in the pitch blackness behind us. It's early, it's cold, but I genuinely think this is going to be worthwhile. This is going to be incredible. Whew. Every single time, put on too many layers, start walking, get too hot, have to stop after 5 minutes and de-layer. It's a tale as old as time. Definitely take off the buff and probably, hello, lose the jacket as well.
We finally arrived in time for sunrise, but it wasn't looking good. In fact, I would say we faced some of the worst conditions for landscape photography.
All right, we have made it to the summit from the hotel. That was 39 minutes, which I don't think is half bad. We probably did about, wasn't that high? I don't know, 220 meters elevation gain. Very short and steep climb, but honestly, mate, oh, the views are outstanding, but I've got some bad news. There is a big bank of cloud on the eastern horizon. That means we're not going to get that low, raking first light. But who knows what's going to happen. I'm still glad we're here, so we'll get the cameras out, catch our breath, and see what we can make over the next hour or so. Oh, blue skies. So let's talk about photography conditions. There are some conditions that are just outright terrible, you know, gale force winds, driving rain. And even then, if you can find shelter, that can be incredibly atmospheric and beautiful. But for me, one of the worst conditions to shoot in are bluebird skies when there's a bank of cloud to the east when the sun's rising. Because you get none of that golden light that comes at the very beginning of the day, that washes over the landscape, that makes those bluebird skies actually quite attractive. You just get this cold light as the sun begins to break, as the light begins to increase, but you get no direct sunlight. Look at this, I'm going to spin you around, right, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So everywhere you can see blue, 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 not a cloud in the sky, as blue can be. And then where the sun is rising is exactly where that ginormous bank of cloud is. So it seems the light gods are definitely not on our side. The sun is rising and the sun is well and truly up now, but it seems that as the sun's rising, sorry, I'm just trying to change lenses here and not drop anything. It seems that as the sun's rising, it's attracting more cloud. It's crazy. It's like, as the sun rises, more clouds are sucked into its vortex. As it stands, I'm struggling. Whereas I do think that if we had better quality light, it would be a feast, a photography feast. You win some, you lose some though, that's what we'll say.
Truer words have never been spoken. And it felt like we had really lost this morning, but I couldn't help but think how beautiful this spot would be if we did in fact have gorgeous light, some clouds illuminating all of that light and adding interest to the scene. You know, it would almost be worth doing the hike again. But for now, we must make the most of what we've been given.
So thanks to the 135 and the telly, we have a shot. So being able to hone in onto the landscape and pick out details, it's a really good thing to do when the light is not necessarily in your favor, when the bigger landscape doesn't work. So just popped a polarizer on to help add a bit of saturation and contrast. And what I've done is I've picked out, isolated this one small interesting part of the landscape. This, I think, and let me know in the comments, I think it's quite nice.
So after that photograph, the sun rose higher in the sky and the landscape became flatter and more washed out. I mean, look at this image. Look at it. I mean, yeah, okay, it's a raw file. We could do some processing and, well, we could even crank the processing and we could even convert to black and white, but, well, it's just not working, is it? These are just terrible, terrible conditions. The light has now truly gone. I can't emphasize enough how much that view needed good quality light.
Well, would you look at that? That, ladies and gentlemen, that is cloud cover. We're going back up. It was terrible this morning, but the views were phenomenal. So pair those views with incredible lighting conditions. Let's go. It's gonna be hard. Another slog at the altitude, but completely and utterly worth it. Anyway, that's my prediction. So this morning, we hiked to this point here, which gave us a beautiful view to the south, but the best light was in the north, which is way over this way. So this evening, we are not gonna hike to here. We're gonna go over here, down here, and up to this point, which should, in theory, hopefully give us 360-degree views, or at least far better views to the north. So we'll have, hopefully, amazing light to the south.
Have you seen that? Have you seen how out of breath I am? I've not done any walking yet, no hiking. All I'm doing is talking to camera. And I'm talking like this. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the effects of high altitude, over 4,000 meters, and no oxygen. It was such hard work.
So this is going to be a great comparison between bad light this morning and great light this evening. And look at it. This, ladies and gentlemen, is south, direction we're shooting this morning. But look at this. Look how clear it is to the west. That's where the sun's gonna set.
Now, I do this a lot. I see the conditions, I get overconfident that those conditions are going to remain, when quite often what happens is they fizzle out. But would that happen on this occasion?
So one of the major drawbacks of all of this cloud and weather, which is obviously beautiful to photograph, is it's creating a lot of wind. So all of this air is being sucked into these clouds and it's really windy, but we can get on the lee of the hill. So we've got the 4G tower just there, and we've got this mound of rubble here. This is providing excellent shelter. From where I'm standing now, there's zero wind, and the view is outstanding. And that is going to be my first shot. You're not really going to see on this camera, but here, this beautiful volcanic mountain range and all of that cloud. So if I break out the 135 plus tele extender in a nice sheltered spot just here, yes, first shot of the evening, first of many, I do suspect.
So you can really see the difference from the sunrise shoot to now what will be the sunset shoot. You see, it's all to do with a thing called convection. Basically, what happens is in these hot sort of desert areas, the sun bakes the ground all day and the ground warms up, and all of that warm air just above the surface of the ground rises. And as that hot air rises, it cools down, condenses, and that is how clouds are formed. That's why quite often if you're out in a desert environment, around about lunchtime, clouds begin to build like clockwork, and that is all of the hot air rising and condensing. And then as soon as the air cools, the clouds disappear. And that explains why in the morning we had no clouds at all, apart from those pesky ones 50 miles away blocking the sunrise. And in the afternoon, we had lots of clouds.
But my first shot, I looked at it, it was quite nice, and I thought I'd experiment with a 1:1 aspect ratio. And for me, it just works a little bit better because of the layering. We've got light in the foreground, shadow in the midground, light on the mountains, and obviously lots of cloud in the sky. So we've got that, those layers seem to suit the square format very well. There we go, first shot of the evening. I'm pretty sure it's going to get a lot more exciting from this point onwards. Let's see. Now I've got good news and I've got bad news. The bad news is the clouds are dissipating at a rate of knots.
Convection.
Now let me show you a shot that I have framed up. You can see actually I think the light is best to the north, which is exactly why we've hiked up to this 4G tower to give us this view. Now I've gone for a panoramic here. Initially, let me show you, initially I was shooting the standard 645 mode, and it's nice, but you've got a lot of blue sky at the top here. You've got a lot of shadow details. There's basically no interest here, no interest here. I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Bolivia is a panoramic photographer's dream. This is beautiful. We've got lovely warm tones. We've got nice cloud over there. We've got a lovely bit of light just raking across the landscape in the distance. It's a really nice, soft, simple, painterly image.
Now, after that photograph, things started to move fast. At those altitudes, the light changes so quickly, and as we've already established, convection. So the clouds were dissipating at an absolute rate of knots. Man, you blink and those clouds that were once in front of you are no more. It's incredible. However, the distant mountains were still clinging on to plenty of cloud. And add to that, the sun was just beginning to set, so the light was absolutely sublime. But before we go into that, let me just let you know that this video is not sponsored, it's not. However, I just want to quickly promote a couple of things I have, which are these 2 landscape photography books. They're great, full of images, stories from the field, lots of information. And I'd say all in all, these are a great read for anybody who's interested in landscape photography. I'm incredibly proud of these books. You can get them on my website below, and it's a huge support to the channel. So, with that being said, let's continue back to the hill outside of Via de Mar, where in all honesty, it was a bit of a rush because the light was changing so fast. So the filming may not have been the best.
If I swing my camera over to the right, you can see we have another volcanic pano right in front of us.
Now, when I say filming may not have been the best, yeah, I mean filming was basically non-existent. It's funny, I did a whole piece to camera, or at least I remember doing a whole piece to camera about that beautiful mountain panoramic sunset. I don't think I hit record. I can't be the only person who's done that. I just vividly remember talking to the camera. Anyway, the shot was still beautiful nonetheless, just absolutely gorgeous.
So we are now down off the summit. You see the guys behind me, just somewhere there they are, they're all walking off. Ah, man, what a shoot. It was great, but I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna walk backwards because of that wind. I'm not gonna lie. I was disappointed at how quickly those clouds dissipated, and it's a high altitude thing. As soon as the temperature drops, the clouds, poof, gone. But it was still good. By anyone's standards, it was still good. But when I saw the level of cloud cover as we were hiking up here, yeah, in my mind's eye, I got too excited, and that is something that I always do. Well, I think that marks the end of the video, so thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in my work, check out my website. I have books available, prints available. I'll be doing print drops from this trip in Bolivia. So help support the channel, go check them out. All shapes and sizes of prints, mostly panos to be fair. So yeah, there's a link to my website in the description below. Thank you guys, and I will see you all next week.